You are listening to Aim Higher, a Catholic podcast designed to instruct and to encourage the daily practice of our faith.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, amen. I mentioned, rather with a negative connotation, the concept of positive affirmations yesterday. And I want to backtrack. The positive affirmations are not evil in themselves. What I believe I was trying to point out is the parents who are constantly praising their children and making their children have a sense of, an overzealous sense of pride or vanity in themselves, that they are so good that they can't make a mistake. And that I have a problem with. But positive affirmation is essential for our well-being, for our protection. And I mentioned I'm trying during this retreat to focus our attention on ourselves, our character, who we are, and what we're supposed to be doing here. And so I look across the board, not just here, but across the world, and I ask, what is our biggest problem? Well, your parents. They are trying everything they can do to keep you from sinning. They don't want you to experience any evil in this world. They want you to have a perfect life. They love you. They don't want you to make the same mistakes they've made. And of course, I know the thought of every child, well, if it was okay for you, it's okay for me, right? But it's not okay. Your parents love you and they want to preserve you. They saw you come into this world and be baptized and to be innocent and holy, and it just tears their heart out when they see sin raise its evil head up within you. And I want to give you the tools. Of course, you know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You ever heard that saying before? Never heard it? Okay. All right. It's better to avoid an evil than have to try and fix it after you've broken it. It's better to avoid an accident in your car rather than to learn body work. Make sense? It's easier not to break something than to have to fix it. It's better that we not fall into sin and have to repent and try to repair it. It is better that we should remain innocent. It would be better that we die in our baptismal innocence rather than to fall into sin and end up in hell. And as harsh as that sounds, that is truly the way we should look at our lives. And so I say there is positive affirmations that can be good. And we should tell ourselves these positive affirmations. I am a son or daughter of God. I have been baptized. I have been washed clean in the baptismal font. And whatever the world suggests, whatever the devil suggests to me, is beneath me. The devils are envious of us. The devils hate us. They're jealous of us because we have the opportunity to go into heaven and they do not. They are eternally lost, and we are called to take their place that they forfeited in heaven. And so they hate us. They are filled with rage and envy against us, and they are constantly out to trip us up. The world, the devils, our fallen nature is out to get us, to destroy us. And we can overcome a lot of that by saying, "Begone, Satan, I am a child of God. That is beneath me. I do not even want to consider that." But as much as your parents will try to shelter you, as much as I would like to put you inside a little box where you're never going to be exposed to evil, you'll never be exposed to a temptation. I see some smiles. It's impossible, isn't it? We have to let the children grow up. We have to send them out into the world. I would like, yes, you could all be homeschooled, never experience the world, don't have any friends out there in the world. That wouldn't be much of a life, would it? You have to grow up. You have to learn to navigate the world. You have to learn to deal with things in the world. You're eventually going to be tempted, and more than likely you're going to fall. You're going to sin. But you have a Father in heaven who loves you. He instituted the sacrament of confession, the sacrament of penance, where you can be reinstated into his love, into that grace that you have lost. And so, positive affirmations, when used in this way, that sin is beneath me. This suggestion is beneath me because I am a son of God. I am a daughter of God. I have a Father in heaven who loves me, who is perfect, and I do not wish to offend him. This suggestion, this temptation is beneath me. That kind of positive affirmation can prevent us from falling into sin in the first place. But as I mentioned, I can't keep you in my special little box. And God doesn't want you in that special little box, because if you're never tempted, you're never really going to grow. It's kind of like putting a plant in a box. You have to take the box away and let the plant be exposed to the sunlight. And the sunlight might wilt it at first. It has to be exposed to the cold and to the heat. It has to grow strong, and being exposed to all these things that can destroy it. But it's good for it. What is that they say? If it doesn't kill you, it will make you stronger. But when the plant first wilts from the heat of the sun, you can make sure it has plenty of water, you can nurture it, you can get it back up to speed. The next morning, it's going to be less likely to wilt. You can make it through that first day. If you can make it through that first night, the plant is stronger. And it is the same with us. If we can make it past the first temptation. I mentioned yesterday we become stronger. But then I also mentioned the devil's going to tempt us even more strongly than before. But we have corresponding grace to take us higher. So avoiding sin is the best place to be. If we can avoid the sin, then we are much better off. It's a whole lot easier to avoid it than to repair the damage once it's done. But as I mentioned, I don't expect, but I'm pretty much ready to accept that we are all sinners. We have all fallen short of the graces that we've received from God. What do we do now? I mentioned the sacrament of penance, and one of the most important things in the sacrament of penance, when I'm sitting on the other side of that confessional, I'm not really interested in what sins you've committed. You have to confess them because it humbles you. What I am looking for, what I need to hear from you on the other side of that confessional screen, is, I'm sorry. Contrition, that act of contrition. Oh my God, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee. That contrition is the first thing that is necessary to receive that sacrament. But that's not all. With our sorrow, it's not enough to say I'm sorry and keep on doing the same thing, is it? If I smack Bridget across the face and say I'm sorry and then turn around and smack her again, would you believe that I'm sorry? Of course not. It's a lie. What does sorrow come with? A purpose of amendment. And so not only do I make in my act of contrition telling God I'm sorry, but I have this purpose of amendment. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, I know I can't do it myself, but with the help of God's grace, I firmly resolve to avoid the occasions of sin. And that is our next defense. How do I avoid those occasions of sin? And typically, I like to give the example because all the old literature speaks of alcoholism, drunkenness, but it applies to any addiction, to any temptation that you want. You are a rational creature, remember? We have an intellect. All right, how do I avoid this sin that I've fallen into? Well, with my intellect, I examine this sin that I fell into, that I am so sorry that I committed. What made me fall into this sin? Well, because I was exposed to the temptation and I couldn't help myself. Okay, what can I do to avoid being exposed to that temptation? And in the traditional example of alcoholism, the man confesses, I came home Friday night drunk and I took it out on the dog and the children and my wife, and I'm really sorry, and I firmly resolved to help, with the help of God's grace, not to do this anymore. Say, okay, but next week you come and do the same thing. Well, I can't help it. I'm angry because I'm drunk. Okay. Your violence, your anger is because you're drunk. Why are you drunk? Because I had one too many beers at the bar. Well, how many is one too many? How many beers did you have? I had 5 beers at the bar. Okay. If 5 beers make you drunk and angry, then stop at 4. And of course, the alcoholic says, well, let me think about this. Once I've had 4 drinks, I can't really stop. I got all my buddies there, my work buddies. It's after work. We deserve a reward, and we're having a drink, and after 4 drinks, I just can't help myself. I've got to have that 5th one. You know what's coming next? Well, if the 4th one is a temptation for you to drink the 5th one, guess what you're going to need to do? You're going to have to stop at 3. Well, Father, you don't really understand. I can't stop at 3 either. Because if I have my 3rd one, I'm going to have the 4th and the 5th. That's just the way it is because, I'm there with my buddies and we're drinking. And once I've had 3 drinks, okay, you know what the next question is? Come on, you're all rational beings. I hope you can see where this is going. Well, if you can't stop after 3 drinks, you need to stop after 2. Oh, but no, that won't work either, Father. Okay, let's go back again. If you can't stop after 2, then you need to stop after 1. Oh, but you see, I can't stop after 1 because I'm there with my buddies. Well, then you can't have a beer at all. Well, you don't understand. It's payday. I'm out with all my work buddies. We're at the bar. How can I sit at the bar and not drink a beer? So what's the next solution? You don't go to the bar. But you don't understand, Father. It's very simple. I've got a paycheck in my hand. I've got a whole week's pay. And all my buddies are going to the bar. I can't say no. Well, maybe you shouldn't collect your paycheck on Friday. Maybe you should let your wife collect a paycheck. Of course, now I know we've got automatic deposit, don't we? And you can put it on your credit, and you can go to the bar, and you can use your plastic and debit card, whatever it is, and you don't have to touch the money anymore. But I hope you can see the progression here. Maybe you need to find a different job. Maybe you need to find different friends. Whatever it is, whatever it takes, this whole chain of events began somewhere. And there is some point when you had control and you have the ability to say no. And as I say, this example applies to any vice. It's not just addictions or alcoholism. It can be drugs. It can be lust. It can be gluttony. You name it. It applies across the board. But there is something that I think applies to you, that I've witnessed here, especially in preparation. A lot of discussion went over, what about the children's electronics? Electronics are good. You're not going to get an argument out of me. They're very useful things. Fire is good too, but we tell the little children the stove is hot, don't touch it. Remember that example? Fire's good. The fire is not bad. And I don't really agree with parents who say the fire's bad, see, it hurts you. No, the fire is good. You got hurt because you weren't paying attention. You weren't respecting fire for what it is. Your electronics are good. They're fantastic. They're a great way to stay in touch, to communicate with your friends. But it's kind of like fire. You can also get burned, and you can get burned really bad. The internet was created for anonymity. And it's almost impossible to separate the internet from anonymity. And what that anonymity, you all know what anonymity means? Oh, that means I can post things on the internet without telling you who I am, where I am, or anything about me. As a matter of fact, I can create a whole, what do they call those little icons that pretend to represent you on the social media?
Profile.
What are they?
Profile.
Avatar. Okay. I can't understand what you're saying, I'm sorry, but I got avatar. Okay, so those little avatars, you can present yourself anything you want. You want to be a princess, you want to be a knight in shining armor, you can make your own little avatar and present yourself to the world however you want. That's anonymity. I can hide. And I can do things from my position of hiding, which is great for little children when we want to pretend, but it is also a dangerous tool. Men with evil intent can pretend to be your friend and entice you to do evil things. And you have no idea, but they're my friend. And your parents will say, but you don't know this person. Oh, yes, I do. We've chatted for weeks. We're really friends. I know this person. No, you don't. You know this person's avatar. In one of the Psalms from King David wrote, most of them anyway, but in one of them, there's a passage, a single line. Omnes homo mendax. All men are liars, and the truth is not in them. Sounds a little harsh, doesn't it? But I ask you, before you condemn the Psalms, look inside yourself. Are you a liar? Do you tell everybody who you are, what you're thinking all the time? Do your parents really know who you are? Are you the same person at home that you are in school? Are you the same person at home that you are on the sports field or on the ice skating rink? Are you the same person? Many years ago, I came across a book for adolescents, and the title was, There Are Two of Me. And basically, that's the idea. At home, I'm this person, but when I'm at school, I'm this person. When I'm out with my friends, I'm perhaps a completely different person. And it all depends upon my surroundings to who I am. I am letting the people around me define me, the places where I am to define who I am, how I act, how I behave. In St. Augustine's Confessions, he writes that it takes others to bring out either the best in us or the worst in us. You want to be the best you can be? You need to surround yourself with people who are better than you. That applies in sports. You want to be a better ice skater? You don't skate with people who are beneath you. You challenge yourself and you skate with those who are better than you. You want to be a better tennis player? You don't play against people who've never picked up a tennis racket. Sure, you can beat them. Maybe pat yourself on the back and think you're really good, but if you really want to improve, you have to play against somebody who's better than you, or at least equal. You have to have someone to give you a challenge. And so it is the same in the spiritual realm. You want to become a saint? You need to surround yourself with saintly people, saintly influences. You want to go the way of the world? Surround yourself with worldly people. St. Augustine, when he was just a youth, went with his buddies and picked all the pears off of the farmer's trees, pear trees. They weren't ripe. They weren't fit for eating. He had no use for them. They just picked them all and threw them into the pigs, let the pigs have them, and ruined this man's entire crop. And they thought it was funny. It was a blast. But St. Augustine says, I would never have done that if I hadn't been with my friends. It was my friends who brought that evil out in me. We encouraged one another. It was my friends. And then, as any good parent would say, were they really your friends? If they led you down this path, are they your friends? They're not your friends. But on the internet, on social media, we need to pick our friends very carefully. We must learn to question. Are you who you really say you are? Can I verify your identity somewhere else? That's one of the big problems we have on the internet, is internet security. How can we verify your identity? How can we prove that you are who you say you are? How do I know that you are the owner of this credit card or this bank account? What proof when we've got all kinds of backup things trying to prove it? If the banks and security has to go through all this, we should probably be doing that with our friends, don't you think? Friends we've never met before, or that want to be our friends, that are hiding behind some avatar, behind the shield of anonymity. Your electronics, as I said, are very good things. They are very useful. But like every good thing, it's a two-edged sword. What can help us can also harm us. And the internet is one of these things. Your social media is one of these things. And so, as I was mentioning before, in our firm purpose of amendment, how do I avoid? Well, I fall into sin when I'm playing with my cell phone and this thing pops up and tempts me. And I look too long. And then I'm scrolling through either impure images or gossip stories or whatever it is. I'm getting angry and frustrated. I'm writing nasty things about my friends. I'm saying bad things. I'm doing bad things. And oh yes, it happens. And the temptation is real. And I get it. But the question is, just like I presented the case with the alcoholic, we have to step it back. Where could I have said no in this whole situation? Before I lashed out at my friends and said nasty things that I now regret saying, where could it have stopped? Where could I have said no so that I hadn't fallen into this envy, jealousy, rage? What is it they call when the rage on the social media when you're attacking people? I don't know. I think they've got a special name for it, but I'm out of the loop. Anyway, we need to step it back. Okay, I regret having said these bad things about my friend. But I said these because of this. Well, then I have to avoid doing this. How can I avoid this? How can I avoid that? And I've known for a long time Your parents can put parental controls on your cell phone and all your electronics. Isn't that true? But now be honest. How many of you know how to get around those parental controls? It wouldn't take you long, would it? We are all liars. We are all deceivers. And we have to acknowledge that, and then we have to say, I need to resist that. I need to overcome that. It was one of my biggest frustrations with the internet and dealing with a young man. No matter how many parental controls I put on, no matter what spyware I installed to track and to trace, he's not going to do what he has promised that he's going to do. There's always a way. And that's the way it is with the internet. It's the way with the electronics. Somebody builds a lock, there's a lockpick who can undo it. You build something secure, there's someone who can break it down. And we had a saying years ago that locks are made for honest people. It's the honest person who pulls the knob and says, oh, it's locked, and turns away and walks away. The thief isn't going to be deterred by a lock. The thief says, oh, how can I get past this lock? How can I overcome this lock? The evil person, how can I overcome it? And so it is the same with the electronics. No matter what lock, what restriction I can put on it, so what is your parents left to do? Give me your electronics. You don't trust me? I do, but I don't trust the internet. And I don't trust you being exposed to the internet. I don't trust your friends. Oh, my friends are good. Oh, you of little experience. Maybe you're right, but maybe you're really wrong. Where do we want to go? But I said, I can't protect you forever. I can tell you, yes, the stove is hot, but you're eventually going to have to touch it and find out. But it's not the stove, it's not the fire that is evil. The stove is good, the fire is good. You're going to use your electronics, you're going to be on the internet. There's no doubt about it. It's a very good thing, but it is also a very dangerous thing that can hurt you terribly. Maybe not your physical body, but your soul. What am I offering? Is that you take your spiritual life serious. You examine your conscience. If your electronics is a scandal, do you know what scandal means? Lead into sin. Our Lord says the man who scandalizes one of his little children, the man who leads his little children into sin. You know the passage? It would be better that that man had never been born than to have led one of God's little children into sin. And he goes even further. He said it would be better if that man had a millstone tied around his neck. A millstone is a great big stone wheel that they use to grind wheat, corn, to make flour. Can you imagine a big stone wheel tied around your neck and to be cast into the depths of the sea? Our Lord says it would be better for that man that should happen to him than that he should have scandalized, taught one of these little children to sin. If your electronics is a scandal to you, if your electronics are leading you into sin, you've got to step back from them. Maybe it means you never touch them again, but maybe it means that you start to become a little bit wiser and understand how to use this tool without getting burned. I mentioned there's all kinds of software you can download to protect yourself, but none of it is foolproof. I don't have one thing that's going to fix it all. But what I can suggest to you, and I want you to think about it before you just outright reject me and tell me I have no idea what I'm talking about. Think about it for a moment. Would you commit sin with your mom or dad there watching you? Would you commit sin knowing that your guardian angel is there beside you? Would you commit sin knowing that God is watching over you, seeing everything you're doing? The saints have written, we can only sin if we block the thought of God out. I can't really sin and say, I'm going to do this, and I know God's watching, and God's displeased with this, and God's going to punish me for all eternity for doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. You ever think like that when you sin? Usually God is the last thing in your mind. So it helps that we remind ourselves frequently, someone is watching me. And I'm going to suggest to you that your electronics be open, not to the world, but to someone you trust. I think your parents who love you should have access to your electronics. Anytime, every time, all the time. You should never be afraid to say, here, Mom, here, Dad, here's my electronics. Would you like to see where I go and what I've been doing? Here it is. I want you to trust me, and I want you to see what I'm doing. Can we do that with our electronics? Maybe it's not your mom and dad. Maybe it's your best friend. Maybe it's your brother, your sister, an uncle, an aunt, anybody that will stand up and say, I want to hold you accountable. I need to be held accountable. I want somebody else to have my password besides me. I want someone else to have access to my account besides me. Not because I can't be trusted, but because there's a lot of temptations out there, and just knowing that I may be called out, I may be held accountable, is usually enough to prevent me from going down the wrong path. And just to convince you that I'm not just speaking theoretically. Have you all seen my Facebook page? That's the social media that I have, is Facebook. Have you ever read any of the posts on Facebook? It's not really a big secret anymore. I don't do that. I have access to my Facebook account. But all the religious posts and everything there, you see there, are done by Sister Catherine. You know, when you see me online, when you hear my sermons, do you think I have put them up on YouTube? That I put them on Facebook? You're mistaken. My whole social media, it's nice to have a secretary for more reasons than one. But I scroll through maybe every other week or something, just flip through Facebook. Yep, there is nothing here for me. If someone's posed a question, sister's saying, oh, there's a question for you on Facebook. Okay, I will go and answer it. But I'm not on Facebook. I'm not posting things. Yes, I have friends that are there, quote friends. Maybe they're who they say they are, maybe they're not. It's easy for someone to pretend that they know me and put up a fake Facebook page. You know that. You could do it. I'm pretty sure any one of you could create a Facebook page for your best friend or your parents or anyone else. Oh, Facebook's old-fashioned now, I know. What is it? It's Instagram now, right? If you see me on Instagram, it's not me. I don't even know my passwords. I have to keep a little log with them all written in. And I have people say, I sent you an email, and all weekend I was waiting for a response. I don't check my emails during the weekend. Well, you have your phone. I said, yeah, I don't receive email on my phone. My email that you address to father@friarsminor.org, it sits until Monday when I come back to my desktop and log in and check my email. I will get to you. You need more urgent than that? Call me. You don't know my number? Call sister. She knows how to get a hold of me. I don't want to be out there because, first of all, I don't want to be taken advantage of. But I'm really tired of people misquoting the bishop and saying, the bishop said this, and I spoke to the bishop. I said, oh yeah, did you speak to the bishop? Prove it. We need to be careful with our electronics. We need to examine our conscience. And I'll repeat it once again, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's better to be cautious. It's better to step back. It's better to have some kind of safety measures in place than to try and correct it after it's done. Once you've hit send, it's out there. You can't take it back. It's very much like pulling the trigger of a gun. Once you pull the trigger, the bullet isn't going to stop. You can't take it back, no matter how much you regret it. And if you can put something in there to protect yourself from making those mistakes, from falling into these temptations and these lies, if you can protect yourself from those online quote friends, your peers, their avatars, if you can protect yourself from them, you've done yourself a tremendous favor. But again, you will be exposed to temptation. And if not on the social media and the internet and your electronics, it's going to be somewhere else. But invariably, you need to back away. And I'll leave you with one thought. Many years ago, when I was first ordained, I went to a family's home in Ohio. It was in Akron, Ohio, I believe. And I had Mass there in their home. And there in the living room where we had Mass, there was a TV, the old-fashioned big box, with the tubes in them. You probably don't even have an idea what I'm talking about, but you've never seen one probably. But they were a big piece of furniture sitting in their living room, but on top of there was a little card. And that little card had the simple words printed on it: would Jesus and Mary watch this show with you? That was it. And I thought, perfect. That should be on top of everyone's television set. And everyone should read that as soon as they turn on the TV. And as the show is progressing, they should read it and say, I wonder. And of course, the answer is, if Jesus and Mary would not watch this program with me, I should not be watching it either. And I don't care if you're 21 and you're an adult and this is adult content and you can watch adult content because you're legal. I said, if it's not fit for a child, it's not fit for an adult. Adults are people and they're just as susceptible as anyone else. It's nonsense. If it's not fit for viewing for a child, it's not fit for viewing for anyone. And we should just back away and stop lying to ourselves. But be honest. Would I watch this in the company of Jesus and Mary? Would I be thinking these things if the world could see my mind? Well, God can. Your guardian angel can. The devils can. Put whatever evil thoughts out of your mind and you won't speak evil things. And if you don't think and you don't speak evil things, you won't do evil things either. Benedictio Dei omnipotentis, Patris, Filii, et Spiritus Sancti, descendat super vos, et manet semper. Amen.